ich würde gern den Herrn, mein Holländisch ist nicht so gut, oder mein Niederländisch ist nicht so gut, den Herr Sanderbeis bitte auf die Bühne bitten. Ich habe es sicher nicht richtig ausgesprochen, aber das mögen Sie mir verzeihen. So, you can take here. Microphone can start. So,
Yes.
stage is yours.
Okay. Just waiting for the first slide. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it in English. My German is not good enough, I would think. Okay. I think you can already go ahead to the next slide. I don't have a clicker, is that all right? Okay. I saw there were some issues. Maybe we should check the batteries after the presentations today. So I'm Sander Beus. I'm the product manager. I am a product manager at Barco. For those of you who are not familiar with Barco, so we're visualization experts. So maybe not the most familiar, because you won't find us in your living room, for example, as a television. But we're mainly focusing on specialty markets. For example, if you went to a movie theater, anywhere in the world, there's a 65% chance that the projector you were looking at was of Barco. Same with healthcare, for example. It's another niche, another specialty market. If you ever had surgery, there's a very good chance that the displays that the surgeon is using comes from Barco. I think it kind of draws the DNA that we have at Barco, which is very specific requirements for specific use cases, even to a degree in which it could be life-altering, for example, in the surgery. If we then look at simulation in more specific, so we do have a dedicated division for simulation, where we provide different display technologies, ranging from projection, but also LCD, as well as LED, like our friends from ICT. Also in the range of applications, so we go from full flight simulators to ship bridge simulators, as well as driving simulators, and the also growing market of the DIL, as mentioned in the first presentation today. I will talk a little bit more about these technologies in a bit. For example, here you see that we have a unique position as a manufacturer, that we can actually offer all three technologies, which makes it also convenient for our customers, that they can really choose the right technology for their application. For example, we have projections over here. Projection is a wonderful technology, but of course we need to be able to control all the environmental light, otherwise the contrast will get crushed. So you can then move to either LCD. LCD has the disadvantage sometimes that you have the bezels, so it can also take away a little bit of the immersion. And then LED, I think already mentioned all the benefits of LED. We have high contrast. We can have some environmental light, and the contrast won't be consumed by that. So if you look at a couple of examples, our simulation applications range from simple with a single channel over to more complex 3-channel and 7 channels. I think there's the more challenging, the higher or the more complex the installation becomes. Things you might not even think about, but for example, larger installations, they deal with higher resolutions. You get in the problems if your displays are not perfectly in sync, especially on fast-moving content. Already mentioned is latency, and we'll talk a bit more about latency once I go over in specific of our LED solutions. If you look at projectors, the projectors, you see that we have setups with multiple projectors. So our solutions, they have their own driving, if you want. It's called Pulse, which allows us to blend them in a perfect manner, so you cannot see the edges between the different sections covered by different projectors. Also, the warping is important here. So, where can you find us here today? So we are right behind the corner. We have the projector set up over here with the FL40 projectors. They're running on 240 frames per second. So is the LED solution, so together with our friends of Cruden. We also have like a small sample of our newest product that we launched only recently, I think a couple of months ago at ISE. What is special about this new product is that we did a couple of innovations specifically for the simulation market and the high demanding simulation market, where we are really looking at the extremities of, let's say, fast driving cars. In that whole chain, because the display is only one small part of that whole chain of technology, the latency needs to be reduced to a minimum, and we achieved the lowest minimum ever achieved in this space, meaning more specific from the input of your video signal to the point where your complete image is drawn. We go to sub-1 frame latency. And why is that important? Of course, it's reaction time. If your driver wants to make a turn, the image needs to move immediately. But like I said, the display is not the only part in that whole chain which has a certain latency because of processing. So how do we achieve that? I can explain that in detail right there, so feel free to swing by. But on a high level, it starts with the architecture of the product. We increased the bandwidth, so the video bandwidth capacity in between the tiles to a factor 5. And we also did some other special tricks to get really that sub-1 frame latency there. That's about it for my end. So feel free to visit us at www.barco.com.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandbeis. So, also man sieht, da ist richtig Punch dahinter an dem ganzen Thema, und wenn man so ein System aufbaut, das sind ja oft die Kleinigkeiten, wo man dann überhaupt nicht, ich meine, ich bin Mechatroniker oder Maschinenbauer, Fahrdynamiker, was habe ich denn mit Visualisierung oder mit Beamer zu tun gehabt bisher? Das heißt, es sind so viele Details, die aber wichtig sind im Gesamtsystem, und insofern hat jedes Gewerk für sich eine entsprechende Komplexität.